Happy Wednesday, April 5th.
Where has this year
Oh my gosh,
been going?
I don't even know.
It's already April.
It
and
is.
It's already the 5th of April.
Yes, so happy National Self-Care Day.
That's an interesting one. Yes.
You got your hair done today?
I got a haircut today. I did.
Self-care comes in many forms. I did yoga this morning, and I drank my coffee while listening to the rain, which also was quite nice.
Well, it was a bit of a storm there for a while.
It was quite a storm. So welcome back to Dysphagia Duo, Cooking with Cat and Steph. I am Kat Ludwig, registered dietitian.
And I am Stephanie Pepper, and I am a speech-language pathologist.
And we are going to have a discussion about dysphagia tonight. We're just going to do a general overview and answer any questions that come up. And then we're going to make, at the request of a few of our members of our group, they wanted recipes that were hydrating and helped with hydration. So we are going to make lemon chicken soup. It's a Greek style. It's a little more on the complicated side. We are going to post the recipe afterwards. If I forget, someone please just say, hey, Kat, you forgot to post the recipe, and I'll post it. I found it online. So It's one of those, and then we're going to puree it. And so we'll go through that process to make sure we adjust the seasoning so that it still tastes delightful after we puree it. We are making a slight adjustment. It calls for kale. We're going to use spinach instead because kale can sometimes be very difficult to blend smoothly. And then we're going to do a cucumber pineapple smoothie.
I'm excited about that.
I am too. And we're also changing that recipe slightly because Steph and I have both realized that we do not like banana in our smoothies. So we're omitting the banana.
Were we going to make it a protein smoothie?
No, I was just
going to do a hydrating smoothie.
We're just going to do a hydrating smoothie today.
Okay.
If you want to make it added protein, you can add protein powder to it. So I'm going to get started on our soup.
Okay.
Starting with some oil, onion, garlic, celery, carrot, and then we'll go from there. And I'll let you get started on what is dysphagia.
Well, dysphagia is, just generally speaking, it is difficulty with chewing and or swallowing. So dysphagia can cause a number of things that go wrong with eating, causing lots of problems. But what I read today is that did you know this? 1 in 25 adults in America is said to have difficulties with dysphagia.
I think it's more than that.
Do you?
I do.
Okay. What the statistic that I looked up today, it was 1 in 25, which is pretty
Significant.
Substantial. And if you're saying it's more than that,
and let me tell you why I think it's more than that. How many people have we talked to that can't get a diagnosis?
They can't get a diagnosis, or no one believes that there's a problem.
Correct.
Right.
So like I was just talking to a lady via Facebook today, and she's like, everyone tells me it's in my head, it's anxiety. It's not anxiety. If you're watching, it's not anxiety.
Anxiety can make it worse and can propel the symptoms.
Yep.
But so yeah, at least 1 in 25, probably more is what we're looking at.
Yep.
But dysphagia can be very painful. It can be very frustrating. It can lead to some medical complexities that you definitely didn't expect to have to deal with in your lifetime.
Yeah.
And it affects the young and the old. There are babies with dysphagia.
Yep.
There are elderly with dysphagia, and there are everyone in between.
Yeah.
With dysphagia.
Yeah. So, man, it's a lot of people. So, can I also share a statistic with you that I realized recently? So, on Facebook for our business page, we can look at the analytics of who is following us.
Yep.
On Facebook, it's like 80% women.
Okay.
On YouTube, it's 80% men.
Is that right? I haven't looked at the
Is that a
YouTube one.
little bit mind-boggling?
Well,
it just shows you that they're everywhere. Someone that you know is struggling with difficulty swallowing, and they probably just haven't mentioned it because they don't even realize that it's a full on.
Or they believe their doctors that tell them that there's nothing wrong.
Right.
So anyway, so that's dysphagia, difficulty chewing and or swallowing. It could be both. It could be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
There are many different types of dysphagia. It can affect at different levels of the swallowing mechanism. So you can have oral dysphagia, you can have pharyngeal dysphagia, and for some, they combine that. If you have oral and pharyngeal, they call it oropharyngeal dysphagia. So it combines both. But there's also esophageal dysphagia that a lot, and I will tell you this, many speech pathologists do not want to touch esophageal dysphagia with a 10-foot pole. We do. That's the majority of our caseload.
We do.
That's mostly because they can't find anyone else to help them.
And speech therapists and dietitians don't typically work together.
They don't.
They work in their separate offices and never the two shall meet. So that's part of the reason that we are different, is because we know that we have to address both together. And sometimes you can't do your job unless we make sure someone is getting nourished.
Well, right. So I can, yes, we could talk a whole night on that.
Maybe sometime we will. So we will cover oral, pharyngeal, and esophageal later in the month for our lives. So we'll talk about those later. So I threw skinless, boneless chicken thighs in this pot to get nice with our veggies. I'm going to throw...
Get nice with our veggies.
Get nice with our veggies. Yep. I mean, yes. I'm also going to add turmeric, bay leaf, and cinnamon.
Okay.
And then we're going to add some dill. So this is a Greek style lemon chicken soup. So here in a little bit, we're going to add some rice after we add our liquid in. And then we're also going to add lemon zest and juice. Okay.
Did you get my juicer out?
No, I was just going
I'm
to...
so proud of it, though.
I just
got it.
I'll use it then. I was just going to use
It's never been used.
Well,
It's
tonight
washed and ready to go.
Tonight it is.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you for doing that for me.
You're welcome.
Because I don't know if I'll ever use it.
Oh,
So,
challenge accepted. I will use it.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So types of dysphagia, when we're talking about where in the system you are affected, there are three major types: oral, pharyngeal, and esophageal. There are other types of dysphagia: functional dysphagia, muscle tension dysphagia, phagophobia, which would be a fear of swallowing. Can all three of those can turn into dysphagia at the oral, pharyngeal, or oral or pharyngeal level.
It can graduate, is what you're saying.
Well,
Maybe.
yes. So it may start out as, like the doctor says, it's all in your head. There's no problems. You had a swallow study that showed that it's normal. And then over time, with lack of nutrition and muscle disuse, not using your muscles, you develop
A problem.
at the pharyngeal or oral level.
Yeah.
Or oral level.
I don't have a zester like this. This is really sharp, so I'm going to be really careful with it.
There's a different zester in there if you wanted it.
I know I saw it, but I'm kind of...
Oh, you want that one?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm going to try it out. It's just got different blades on it. Sorry. I'm a nerd. I like my gadgets.
It's great for cheese. It's great for Parmesan.
I bet it's great for cheese. So we see a lot of people that start with one kind of dysphagia and it's not addressed because nobody thinks there's anything wrong with you. And then it gets worse. And then we actually see, and you have helped people in the past say, you may not have had a problem now, but now that I'm seeing XYZ that would indicate pharyngeal or oral or both. So
it happens.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it happens more often than people realize. Yeah. Okay. So what causes dysphagia? Because I've heard a lot of people recently say, I woke up one morning and couldn't swallow. So what are some of the causes?
So there's lots of things that can cause dysphagia.
Okay.
I think what we see the most of in hospital type settings and clinic type settings is the typical age related disease, not diseases, but
so
like stroke, heart attack, brain anomalies like brain tumors, ALS.
And you say age related because most of the time these happen as you age and get older.
Right. But there are people who have strokes that are young.
Yes, there are.
I shouldn't have said age related.
Well, we're seeing more younger people now, I think, than we have in the past.
Having strokes.
Yes.
And similar.
Find yourself a dietitian. We can help with preventing those.
I agree. You should find yourself a dietitian. I got one here. You can have her too.
I'm here for all of you.
Yeah, she can help you a lot, and so can many other dietitians. But there's other things like Parkinson's. There's a Parkinson's dysphagia, and that's hard.
Yep.
There are other things like that you may not hear so much about as the norm, but eosinophilic esophagitis. So and it's an infection,
an autoimmune. Sometimes autoimmune, sometimes an allergy, sometimes an infection.
Correct. It can start off as an infection and then progresses.
Yep.
Another diagnosis would be xerostomia, which is dry mouth. You may be on medications that cause dry mouth. Well, here's the story. You have to have moisturized mucous membranes to be able to swallow well. Very hard to swallow with a dry mouth.
Hence why these recipes are going to be great because they're hydrating. So very important.
Good stuff.
You need moisture when you eat and when you're not eating also. So there's just
right.
Yeah.
And then I did write advanced age as a cause. Some people just as they age, their muscles weaken and they start developing difficulty swallowing. So it could be related to dementia. It could just be related to muscle weakness. It happens that way too. Anyone that has been intubated for a surgery may find themselves with a little dysphagia when they come out of anesthesia.
I work in a hospital part-time where they do hips and knees and shoulder replacements. And that's the first question I ask people is, are you having any trouble chewing or swallowing? Because I see once every 3 months, I see someone that can't swallow when they wake up, and it does come back for those people that I've seen, but it's scary. And it's really scary for your caregiver, your family member.
And it depends on the reason, what happened during intubation as to why the difficulty swallowing. If it's simply because the anesthesia is taking a long time to come out of your system, that should happen over time. If damage happened, if it was an emergent intubation, there could be damage. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm gonna throw the rice in so it has time to cook. Good. Okay.
Another one would be esophageal stricture. So when there's a area of your esophagus that is constricting,
got like a rubber. Think about it like you've got a rubber band around it. Yeah, and typically they would go in and dilate it.
They can stretch it out.
Hopefully.
They can stretch it. Doesn't mean it will stay stretched.
Right. Okay.
So, and then another one that we're seeing a lot of is GERD.
Oh man,
and you would think GERD is just reflux, heartburn. You wouldn't think that could cause dysphagia, difficulty chewing or swallowing, but
we're seeing it in a lot of people,
especially for those who don't realize that they have it, or that they know that they have it, but don't think that it's a big deal.
Right.
And they just manage it.
So this is where you should get a dietitian, because your dietitian can help you get your GERD under control before it becomes a problem. Now, there are some people who are just predisposed to having reflux. I am one of those people, but I work really hard to manage it and make sure it doesn't affect or progress to get worse. And it hurts and it's painful when it's really bad, but there are ways that we can manage it. So if you take a look on our Facebook page, our video from last week, I have not been able to post it to YouTube yet because Facebook is no longer letting me download videos. And then, so once I figure that out, we'll get it posted to YouTube, but you can always go check it out and then ask us questions. We want to answer your questions. So if you have questions here tonight, please ask them so we can answer them.
Yes.
So causes, I was listening to the TV. There was a commercial on the other day for Botox, for treatments for headaches.
Mhm.
And one of the potential side effects was difficulty swallowing. If that travels, because what Botox does is it basically like numbs your muscles, right?
It paralyzes.
It paralyzes them. If it gets in this area, it can paralyze this area and cause difficulty swallowing. Now, if you're getting Botox for headaches, theoretically it shouldn't be in this area, but there are some people we don't know how it reacts. So I thought that was really interesting.
It is interesting.
Listening to that commercial.
Yeah.
So it's a medication though, right? It's a medication that they're using to treat headaches, but there are still side effects. So just a random thought that popped into my head. Yeah.
Could happen.
Could happen.
That seems to be my saying today. It could happen.
It could happen. I know. And we see a lot of it could happen. And then we help you work through that after it does happen.
Yeah.
So symptoms of dysphagia.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lady in a nursing home who was drooling excessively.
That is one of the signs of dysphagia. If you can't manage the saliva in your mouth, how can you manage food and liquid? Right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Lot of things that could be going on with the inability to maintain saliva in your mouth.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll this lemon. So I'm gonna just take this lemon and roll it. I know my YouTube people can't quite see what I'm doing here, so I'll move my camera a little bit. This is gonna make it easier for me to squeeze.
In my new squeezer.
In your new squeezer. We're not gonna squeeze it yet. We want that rice to get cooked.
Okay.
But I'm gonna squeeze it here in a little bit. And then we're gonna add the spinach. So after the rice is cooked, we're gonna add the spinach, and then we're gonna take our eggs and we're going to temper them into our soup. And this is one way to thicken your soup without using a carbohydrate thickener. There is a way to do it. It's with eggs. I'm going to show you how to do it. So
awesome.
We'll get to that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Symptoms.
More symptoms?
More symptoms.
You want more symptoms. So another symptom would be coughing and choking, maybe even gagging.
Mm-hmm.
There could be some hypersensitivity in your swallow reflex.
Okay.
There could be aspiration, meaning things going down the wrong tube.
Okay.
Hopefully you're coughing. Coughing is not a bad thing if that's the reason you're coughing, to get it up out of the airway.
Right.
So I tell people, don't try to stop your cough.
Yep. I've heard you say that to many people. If you got a cough.
Yes.
Don't hold back.
Absolutely cough.
Yeah.
Because you want to get it out of the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could be coughing just because it's touching areas that are not normal, because the muscles aren't maintaining the food or liquid well.
Okay.
It may not be aspirating yet. So coughing can happen even if you're not aspirating. So that happens. Heartburn, GERD, that could be something that you're noticing, that you have a lot of heartburn, or that you have a sour taste in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. That's stomach acid. It's not good.
Mm-hmm. Or if you notice that food or liquid is coming back up to your mouth area, not really throwing up, but just that it comes up or goes through your nose instead of going down, that's telling me that the muscles are not maintaining and sending it in the right direction.
Okay.
And that can cause infection. You can end up with stuff in your sinuses. You can end up with a nasal infection. Not good. Not good stuff.
We've had a couple of people say, I'm congested all the time. All the time I'm congested. And this could be a sign, not always. It could just be seasonal allergies. It could be that you have an allergy to something you ate.
Or cold. Or same thing with the coughing. Same thing with
but usually we would see that in conjunction with something else.
While you're eating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that may happen while you're eating that could trigger me or some speech therapist to say something could be wrong is that if your eyes or nose waters only when you're eating.
This is one I've wondered about for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason is, so your body is magnificent and it tries to protect itself.
And it's good at it.
It is very good at it. So what your body is, if you're noticing that your eyes water, your nose waters, and runs every time you eat, it could be because your body is trying to protect yourself from food or liquid getting to in a spot where it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So just like if a bug flies in your eye or up your nose, you're going to water.
Those mucous membranes, they start producing to
wash it out.
Right.
It's trying to wash out what should not be there.
Right.
So that's why we say if your nose is running, I might need to look at what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
someone who has had weight loss, unexplained weight loss, I would question. We frequently, especially with the elderly in nursing homes, if they're losing weight and no one really knows why, we like to look at their swallowing. Are they limiting their eating because it's so much work? They sometimes don't even realize that they're limiting their eating, but it's not fun anymore. It's not social anymore. It's work.
And so I want to throw this out there that it takes energy to eat. So your body needs a certain amount of calories every single day in order to just do its basic functions. So if you're a little bit overweight and you stop eating, to me, that's a good thing. So people always tell me, my first question that I ask when I go into the hospital is, how's your appetite? And people that are overweight often say to me, it's fine, can't you tell? And my response is, no, I can't tell because your weight doesn't tell me how you're eating. There's a whole lot more scientifically that's going on there. So I want to know how you're eating and what you're eating and if your appetite is good, because if you're burning too many calories trying to get food in, you're going to start losing weight real fast. And then we run into huge problems.
Right.
So, and it may be that you don't tell anybody. And so you just stop eating when you're around people, which is socially not a good thing because we're social creatures, right? We like to be around other people and have meals around other people.
Well, we celebrate with meals.
Right. Cake is not something you typically eat alone. You eat it with a bunch of other people, right?
Well,
usually.
If there's leftover cake and nobody's here.
Okay. Agreed. I'm probably going to eat cake too if there's leftover cake, but I'm not talking leftover. I'm talking if we're at a party and there's a big cake.
This is true.
There's a bunch of people around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll take the frosting. You can have the cake.
Deal.
Okay. All right.
We work so well together.
I know. We complement each other so well. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is difficulty swallowing pills. Now, for some people, it's just maybe an anxiety with pills, fearful of choking. Again, that right there screams at me that we need to talk. But if pills get stuck, or if you feel like pills get stuck, but they tell you they don't, there's something going on there. It could be inflammation. I talk a lot about sensory imprints. If you have a sensory imprint from a pill, we need to talk because there's some things that we need to work through.
I want to hear more about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a swallowing expert. I'm a food expert. That what you call globus sensation, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So it's about feeling like there's something there. When someone else is like, there's nothing there, but you're like, no, there's something there.
Right. Because they may even show you on the x-ray, look, nothing's there, but you feel it. You feel it there.
And if you feel it, there is something going on.
Right.
And this is why you need a good speech therapist.
So I'm also a brain injury specialist, so I understand a lot about the passage of information from the brain to all the parts of the body, particularly the swallowing mechanism. So there's something going on in that messaging system, or there's something going on in the esophagus or throat that's causing some sensory changes.
I'm just putting spinach in our blender for when we do our smoothie.
How much?
A handful.
Oh.
That's what it says in the recipe. It just says 1 large handful. And if we need to swap it out for our slightly larger, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we love our blend jet because it travels with us. You don't have to use a blend jet for this. You can use your Vitamix, you can use your Ninja, you can use your NutriBullet, you can use your Cuisinart, you can, whatever you got.
You can use your stick blender if you want.
You can use your stick blender. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
It may not be as smooth.
It may not be as smooth. So if you need it perfectly pureed and liquidized, a Vitamix is your go-to. This is a close second. In terms
of getting things smooth.
Yes.
And you're only making 1 serving at a time. Although we do have.
Yes, I did get the 32 ounce that we're going to blend our soup in tonight because we need a little more space for soup.
We do. But single serving, super smooth. Super smooth. Good stuff. All right. So that's all the symptoms.
Symptoms, okay.
Well, it may not be all the symptoms.
If you're having a symptom and you want to know more, send us a message.
Yeah.
Stephanie knows what she's doing. I ask her questions.
I want to talk to them
all the time.
Talk to you.
We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Please send us your questions. We want to answer your questions.
I learn more stuff every day that I work with someone because there's always something new. No one is exactly the same.
Here we go. Juicer.
I'm so happy to watch this. Oh, it's kind of messy.
It's kind of messy.
Who knew?
It's not a clean process. Don't go fast when you're juicing with a juicer, unless you have one of those like hand ones, but.
Oh, I have one of those. I just thought this was cooler.
It is cooler.
But
so
it's
I'll show you my trick that I do as well. So and you have to go kind of slow.
It comes out of the top.
And then I take it and I put it in upside down.
Oh, then you get more. Look at that.
I got tricks, people.
Yes,
if you need food tips and tricks, I am your girl.
She is your go-to. Please go to her.
Okay. All right.
Well, thanks for using my kitchen
You're
tool.
welcome. I bet you have a garlic press too that I need to use.
Yeah, you have. You need garlic today too.
You're not invited. I'm sorry. I already cut up the garlic.
Oh.
It's already in the pot with the soup. Yeah.
Okay. Because yes, I do.
We've got a beautifully juiced lemon that's only got pith and seeds coming out. There's no juice in there anymore. All right.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about complications from.
Yes. And hey, if you're on live, and even if you're on the replay, put your questions in the comment section and we'll answer them right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we'll try. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if we don't know the answer, we'll figure it out.
We'll find an answer.
Okay.
You bet.
So complications.
So first, my first instinct is pneumonia, because if food and liquid goes down the wrong tube into the lungs, pneumonia will ensue. So it's basically your body is going to fight off anything foreign in the lungs, anything foreign other than water. Aspiration of enough water would make you drown.
Yes, which is terribly problematic, as I'm sure you can guess.
Yes.
Because the only thing that's supposed to go in your lungs is air.
Right.
Yeah.
But my second biggest concern, and the only reason that's my biggest concern is because I'm a speech pathologist. Your first concern and my second concern is weight loss.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Weight
Okay.
loss. But what is very interesting to me though, Kat, is that a lot of our clients tell us, I can't eat, but clearly I can stand to lose some weight.
Makes me crazy.
I know. It
Makes
makes me crazy too. And you understand it more, but it's all about your body not getting the right nutrients, or well-rounded nutrients, that your body is holding on to everything it can.
And if your body is in starvation mode, it is not going to let go of those stores, or it's going to get to the point where it lets go of those stores all at once. And that's when it's super dangerous.
Right. And actually people who are super malnourished from dysphagia, it takes a while to get that back. And it's kind of a process to work with, but weight loss can be a sign of dysphagia. I mean, a complication.
But typically weight loss is one that we would see first, because most people are hiding the other things. They can hide them. But when you're out in public, weight loss is one of those things that people can tell. And if I look at you, I'm going to see that you've lost weight before someone else is, just by looking at your structure and your skin and the quality of how your skin looks. And are you pale? Have you lost fat stores? Do you look like you have muscle in very specific places? You have fat in very specific places. Especially as women, we have a little bit more fat than men. So if we are missing fat in specific places, I'm going to know. I know. It's kind of scary. I never realized that would be one of my superpowers.
Kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
Another thing that I think that is a huge complication from dysphagia is anxiety.
And then it's a bad cycle once you're in the anxiety cycle, because it just continues.
Right. And
then your swallowing gets worse.
Anxiety and fear of swallowing.
Yeah. They kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah.
And then from that follows depression. Depression and anxiety
and so for a lot of people, we do recommend, if they're working with us, that you see a therapist and talk to them, because it can be very, very beneficial. I personally think every single person on the planet should be in therapy. Talking is so helpful. So helpful. Sorry. It's helpful to talk things out.
I agree.
But also, the right therapist and the right doctor may start you on a medication that can help regulate that gut-brain interaction. So some people are on an antidepressant and it helps with the anxiety, and then they can eat better just with a slight chemical change. There's a chemical imbalance there, and it can change how your body functions, and then your swallowing gets better for some people, not for everyone.
So not to get off topic here, but talk just real quickly about the gut-brain interaction, because we deal with that a lot, and we learned a lot about it this past November.
Yeah. So your gut and your brain, when you were in the womb, were connected directly, like they were one thing. And then as you started to develop into a human being, they separated, but they're still connected by this fancy nerve called the vagus nerve, right? So the vagus nerve let me restart. Words are hard sometimes. The vagus nerve connects your gut and your brain. And I heard tonight, actually, on a podcast that I was listening to on my way over here, that your brain actually receives more signals from the vagus nerve than it sends out. So it receives 70% and it only sends out 30%, which tells me that what you put into your gut makes a dramatic difference in your overall outcome and your mental health. So what's going on in your brain affects your stomach. So like if you're terrified of public speaking and you get on stage in front of a bunch of people, you're probably going to have stomach pain. You may have diarrhea. You may get nauseous and vomit. This is the gut-brain interaction. Because
or even just butterflies.
Or just butterflies, yes. It may not be that drastic. Yes, I go drastic sometimes. But when you're putting good things into your belly, it sends the right signals to your brain, because the bacteria that's in your gut makes a huge difference in your outcome and actually produces some of the signals that your body needs to be healthy. If your gut bacteria is not getting the right food, it can't produce the right signals. And then your brain doesn't get the right signals, and then it can't communicate back.
So that is why, folks, you need a dietitian to work with you during your dysphagia process.
Especially with dysphagia, because most other healthcare practitioners and a lot of dietitians as well don't understand that your diet gets so limited when you can't swallow, and then they want you to restrict and restrict and restrict, and then you're stuck like drinking Ensure only. And that's a huge problem, because we need variety. So one of the things that we do is we focus hard on what you're putting into your body, and then we make food. And we've had clients that we cook with, like we'll get on a computer live and we will cook together. Like they'll get the stuff and we'll get the stuff, and we'll work through how to prepare something that they want, because that improves quality of life, that improves skills, and that improves nutrition. And then if there's an issue while you're eating, you got Stephanie here to work through strategies to make sure you can safely get it into your body. I love what we do.
It's what we do.
I love it so much. I love helping you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I also wanted to mention, you touched on it. Functional dysphagia.
Yeah. Muscle
Tension dysphagia.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a glimpse of what that is? Because typically that's a diagnosis that's relatively new, but it's when all your tests are normal and nobody can find anything wrong with you, and it's not GERD.
Yes. So functional dysphagia and or muscle tension dysphagia is probably a diagnosis that many have not gotten.
I'm going to grab a dish and show you
because
what this looks like.
It is really, for those of you who have been told there's nothing wrong, you probably have functional dysphagia. It is dysphagia, and we don't know why.
So this is going to be thick because it has the rice in it. So it's going to thicken beautifully. You can always add a little more water or chicken broth or vegetable broth to thin this out. But it's got that Greek.
Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, and once the lemon's in there, that's going to be so good. I can't wait to taste this.
Okay, so I'm letting it cool down just a little bit so I can temper these eggs in. And I'm actually going to pull everything over here and do it in front of you so I can show you the process, because this is not exactly easy.
Okay.
I mean, it is, but you have to know what you're looking for. So I'm going to talk everybody through that.
Okay. So functional dysphagia, we don't know why you have dysphagia. There's not a stroke. There's not Parkinson's. There's not esophageal issues like reflux or GERD or eosinophilic esophagitis. They can't find anything, but you know you're having a problem. That it has become Cat and I specialty because that's the people who reach out to us, and we've come up with a really good program to work through that and figure out what's going on. So I don't need proof on a video swallow to work with somebody that says that they're having trouble. We treat symptoms. We don't treat diagnoses. Right. So that's the route that we go.
We don't need to know that you have a diagnosis to be able to work with you, because we don't care. And that sounds really harsh. I don't mean it that way. We care a lot. And this is my point. We care about what you're going through and what you're dealing with and how to help you through that. I don't care if your diagnosis is EOE. I don't care if your diagnosis is viral. That part doesn't matter so much, because we can still help you.
A diagnosis doesn't matter.
Right.
We don't need it.
Right.
So that's the story behind functional dysphagia and muscle tension dysphagia. And usually muscle tension dysphagia comes from an anxiety type response surrounding food, surrounding eating. So that's.
And I understand anxiety because I myself have anxiety. So I'm happy to talk through it with anyone that wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
So treatment methods for dysphagia.
yeah, what do we do?
Well, we do food first. So
We do.
very important that we address your nutrition 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you exercises or strategies or things to do unless your muscles are receiving the nutrition that they need. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not that we never treat together, but we make sure that your nutrition is at an optimal level for where you are before we start working muscles really hard of swallowing.
Right.
There are other things that we can do. We can come up with strategies, compensate for muscle weakness in different ways, but there are exercises and special maneuvers that we can recommend that will help with swallowing or that will help with strengthening muscles.
And Stephanie is really careful to make sure that she's not doing anything that's going to cause harm, because our whole point is to get you better, not worse. So it's really important that we're getting the nutrition in. So Stephanie's telling you the things you need to do that's not going to burn you out, right?
Right.
We want you to improve. We don't want you to get worse.
Right. We don't want to blow out the muscles
Right.
before they can
I'm going to
handle
grab,
it nutritionally.
is it okay if I put the pot on here, or do you have a
A trivet?
A trivet. That's the word I was looking for.
I'm fine with that.
You're
I
fine
have a
with this?
trivet if
Okay.
you want it. It's right here.
Yes. Yes. I like that idea better. Okay. So soup. I just put the spinach in there, so it's gonna wilt a little bit. So what we're gonna do to start, and I'm gonna put Stephanie to work. So we have 2 eggs here, and I'm gonna have Stephanie. Oh, I'm gonna whisk. You're gonna put liquid in here, just a little bit at a time. So this is called tempering egg yolks. So we're gonna put a little bit at a time, whisking, because we don't want to scramble these eggs.
You just want to warm them up.
We just want to warm them up. And it's okay if you get some rice in here. Not a big deal, because it's gonna go back in there. Yep. I guess I could have gotten you a bigger spoon.
Well, it
But
seems
this is working. I can feel it on the bowl. It's already warming. So perfect. Okay.
Is it warm enough?
Not quite.
No?
We're not steaming yet. A little bit more. Yep. Good. So we're also not going to put this back on the burner and let it boil.
So are you looking for steam?
It was a little bit. It's feeling, I can feel it on the bowl, and this bowl is thick, so I know that it's getting warm. Okay. Oh yeah, I think
A little more?
one more, and then I think we're, so then what we're gonna do is we're going to put it in here. Ready? Pouring slowly, stirring. Don't stop stirring. If you have trouble with arm strength, find a person or put this in your food processor, because we're going to puree it anyway.
Or coordination.
Yeah, coordination can be difficult.
Yes.
I get stuff all over the counter all the time because I'm not super coordinated. Okay, I like how we can see this. So you can see, so if, here, can we talk about, we're going to get off topic a little bit. Can we talk about mixed consistencies for a second?
Yes.
Because I think that it's not a topic that we talk about all the time. And I think it's really important, especially for people that want soups.
Yes. So some people have difficulty. So let me start with, there's a difference between needing thickened liquids and needing pureed food. And the difference is that liquids need speed of muscles and solids need strength of muscles. Does that make sense?
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. Liquids need speed.
Okay, of muscles.
Yes. and solids need strength
Okay. Yes.
to
They're-
move things.
They're two different
To get things to go in the right
issues.
direction.
Yes.
So what happens when you have soup is you have liquid and you have solid. So you need both speed and strength
Okay.
to manage it. So think about what you're having to do while you're chewing the solid part of the soup. You're having to manage and maintain
Mm-hmm.
the liquid in your mouth
Yeah.
without it dripping back.
Right.
So that's where someone may have trouble with mixed consistencies because they can't manage the liquid while they're working on the solid, or B, they can't work on the solid while they're managing the liquid.
All right. So how does this look? You can see the beautiful colors there. You can see it there. Okay. And you can see the thickness and the richness
Yeah.
from that egg.
That egg made it really rich looking. Yes.
And the beautiful part about this is it did not take a lot to cook that egg all the way through. But with this process of tempering, we didn't scramble our eggs. So this is going to have a really beautiful mouthfeel and texture, and it's going to be a little bit thicker. So this is no longer a thin liquid in this soup. This is more along the lines of, for the National Dysphagia Diet, we would call it nectar thick.
I would call this the level between
Nectar and honey. So IDDSI, the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative, it's a mouthful. That would be a more specific. So level 0 is thin. Level 1 is slightly.
This would be slightly
thick. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not super thick.
That's kind of where tomato juice falls in.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit thicker than
yeah. So
water.
let me make sure I got everything in here. Oh, we're going to add a little bit of dill. Just a smidgen.
You may need to crumble it a little. Oh, it's fine.
I can crumble.
I didn't break it up when there you go.
Okay. Lemon and dill are a classic combination.
Yes, especially in Greek.
I haven't had Greek style anything in quite a while, so I'm really excited about this. Okay, so this soup is really, really wonderful because it's got the spinach in it, which is full of water. It's got all the water from the broth. We can always add more water if it's too thick. The rice absorbs water, so that's got the water in it now.
And there's not a lot of rice in there. It's only, I think in this pot, we only put a quarter cup.
It was a quarter cup, but it's still going to thicken really, really beautifully.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to get okay, so here's the thing about our blend jet. The lid, where's my lid? I don't even know what it looks like. Does not have a vent in it. So we need to be very, very careful when we're blending this because this may not be the best option for blending a hot soup. If you want to blend a hot soup safely, you need something like a Ninja or a Vitamix or another blender that has the little knob at the top that you can remove where it can vent. Really, really, really important because hot creates pressure and that pressure has to go somewhere and people can get burned. I'm a professional. I've done this for many, many years. And if I get burned, it's not the end of the world. If you get burned, it's a huge problem. Do not do this if you don't know what you're doing. Use a blender that has a vent at the top.
Do as I say, not as I do, she says.
Yes. It's true. Okay. So, ladle. All right. And do you want to grab the pineapple out of the fridge so we can start on our cucumber, spinach,
I do.
pineapple smoothie? So this soup is also really nice because you only need to puree what you're going to eat for dinner. Your family can eat the rest. And then if there are leftovers, you heat it up and then puree it after you heat it up so that you have leftovers tomorrow. Or obviously that's what leftovers is. Sorry, sometimes I say things that are obvious. Okay, so, okay, I'm going to move this pot back to the stove. and get my, thank you. I hope that did not burn you. And then for our smoothie, we have spinach. We have half a cucumber. I did peel the cucumber because this is got thick skin. If you have an English cucumber that's very, very thin skinned, you may not need to peel it. If you have severe textural issues and need things perfectly smooth, you need to peel this. All right. So I'm going to put the big one on here.
Good call.
Because I know myself and I tend to
Overdo it.
And I don't need to make too much of a fool of myself on live
TV.
live TV. Yeah. Okay, so
We might need to put some of the liquid in first so it can get down there.
yeah. Okay. So cucumber, I'm going to take a few of these out. It's like half a cup that's supposed to go in there. Coconut milk, light coconut milk. You can use canned coconut if you need higher calorie because you have trouble getting calories in. Go with something like this. This is vanilla flavored, so it's going to go beautifully.
How much?
The recipe said to add 1/4 cup. So the great thing about the BlendJet is it's got the amounts on the side here. So we can, that's probably pretty close. So it's half a cup of cucumber, 1 heaping cup of cubed pineapple. I have frozen pureed pineapple because when I cut up a pineapple fresh at home, I end up pureeing and cubing and freezing the rest of it because I can't get through an entire pineapple by myself. So I already have this, so we're not going to add ice because this is already frozen.
Do we want to blend a little bit first?
I think we should. I think that would be wise for us to blend first. Okay. So I'm going to be very careful with this soup here. I don't have the lid on all the way. I do. You do. Shake it a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Is it back so it's not so loud?
Yeah, that was loud. I'm sorry, everybody. That was loud. Okay, so my favorite thing to say to people when they're blending, especially something that has meat in it, is blend it again.
Yes.
Because it's almost never going to get completely smooth on the first try. So blend it again. All right, so half a cup of sliced cucumber, 1 heaping cup of cubed frozen pineapple, half a large ripe banana. We are not adding because we do not like banana in our smoothies. You can if you want. Half a cup of filtered water. I don't know that we're going to need the filtered water. Is this the zester you were talking about?
No.
No? You have another one?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes. The one okay. I have one of these. Okay. And then it says 1 medium lime zested and juiced. So I'm going to add, unless you want to zest it and juice it in your fancy juicer.
I can try.
It's easy.
Oh,
sorry. It was clean. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. I am going to step over here and blend this again. And so here's the great thing about this huge quart size. I didn't have to screw the lid on all the way, so it could still vent without getting everywhere because there's plenty of room in here. Whereas the 16-ounce one, just not big enough unless you're only doing like 4 to 6 ounces. So, okay.
All right. Lime zested.
Okay. And we're going to give this a taste to see if it needs to be pureed again. It does. I can already tell just by looking at it. I can see the spinach in it. So here's the thing about this too. It got really thick on that second time around between the egg and the rice. So I'm gonna add a little bit more liquid to this to make sure that it does not get super, super thick. It also needs salt because I did not add salt yet. So the thing about pureeing is you typically have to add a little bit more seasoning at the end to bring out those flavors, because something happens when you puree it that those flavors just get really dull. So I'm going to add a touch more water. That was probably like 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to puree this again. How'd that go for you?
I like it.
Yes. I love tools. Tools are fun.
Yeah. It sounds like it's blending better now.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds just right. And it looks a lot smoother as well. So, do you want your soup in a teacup or in a bowl?
A teacup would be nice.
You got it. So, for any of you that have not watched us before, we like to put our food in pretty dishes because, especially if your food doesn't look as pretty as you want it to, having it in a pretty container makes it
Makes
just
it taste
a little
better.
bit happier. And then it tastes better.
We think so.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. And the great thing about this is we can add more cucumber, we can add more pineapple, we can add more of whatever we need.
Now, for those that are on a minced and moist
Mm-hmm.
type level diet, this soup should be fine.
I would say that if you have a food processor, putting it in a food processor that's not going to puree it, but you can just pulse it a couple of times to get that chicken. You did cut the chicken pretty small.
I did.
But it wasn't, it was, I would say it was like 1-inch cubes. How is it?
It's good.
Did I need to add more salt?
It's delicious, but there's more chunks in it than
Then there should be. So I needed
Then
to
I
blend it
figured.
probably twice more. See, there's my rule. Blend again.
it's very tasty. I'd like to taste it.
It's
Like
really
this.
bright. That lemon. And then it has the turmeric and the cinnamon in it also, which if I typically can pull flavors out of things, I would not have known there was cinnamon in this if I didn't put it in there myself.
Okay, I just want to taste it this way to compare,
Okay.
to get the lime off of this one.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit of chicken. So I needed to blend it, I would say 2 more times. So how many times did I blend it? 3?
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to blend it 5 times.
In these blenders.
In
If
if you have a Vitamix, I would blend it for like 3 or 4 minutes. If you have a normal blender, I would blend it for like 6-ish minutes. All right. I'm really excited about this smoothie.
So you're going to go over what's in it again
Yes, I do.
real quick?
Yeah. So 1/2 cup of sliced cucumber. Well, diced cucumber, peeled cucumber. 1 heaping cup of cubed frozen pineapple. If you use fresh pineapple or canned pineapple, you're going to want to add some ice. 1/4 cup of light coconut milk or regular coconut milk. If you have regular coconut milk, you're probably going to need to add some water to thin this out because it may be too thick, because regular coconut milk gets pretty darn thick.
Yeah.
But if you need higher calorie, this is,
Shake it up real quick.
yeah, this is, and you can't even hear it. It's solid in there. So you definitely need water.
And the beauty of these blend jets is that you can just drink straight out of it.
You can. And then it has 1 medium lime zested and juiced and 1 handful of greens. Does it need to go again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Came out a little
Blend it
chunky.
again. Blend it again. Whenever you're in doubt, blend it again. Do not be afraid to blend it again. And if you're working with us and you come to me and you're like, hey, I didn't get it smooth, unless you're doing like potatoes or pasta, and then we need to talk about some other strategies, blend it again. Because potatoes and pasta get super sticky and gooey and weird. So you want to, bright?
Boy,
What does it need?
it's bright.
Does it need a hint of salt?
Maybe. All I can taste really is the lime.
So let's add a little bit more cucumber and a little bit more pineapple.
Do
we need to add more spinach, or are we good on spinach?
I think the spinach is okay.
Okay, I'm also going to add a pinch of salt. Stephanie and I both have pinch pots at our houses for our salt. We don't have shakers. To each his own. If you have a shaker, use your shaker. Okay, so a little bit more cucumber, a little bit more. That did say 1 medium lime. But I bet you they don't have the fancy juicer that gets
maybe.
every last.
And that may have been a large lime. I don't know. I don't know how to size limes.
Well, the little teeny tiny ones are too small. I don't know. Might have been a large
Here
one.
we go. Again.
Blend again. Blend again. This needed to blend at least 2 more times. And I would add twice as much dill as I added to the soup, to my blended version, because I like dill and I can't taste it in there at all.
It needed to go again, but. Oh, definitely.
Much
Let me
better.
get you up.
So we needed a little. So here's the other thing I want you to be comfortable with. As long as you have more, you can always throw a little bit more in, right? And so just because you have a recipe does not mean you have to follow a recipe to the T, because
Needed to go again.
needed to go again. Blend again. If you have to spit the chunks out, spit them out. I can definitely smell the pineapple. Did the salt help just a little bit?
Yes.
So if you have too much acid, you may need a hint of salt in anything.
It's very good. Very good.
Oh my goodness.
And it's hydrating.
Oh, that's so good. That
It's very summery.
very summery. I wanted to do something with watermelon, but we'll do something a little closer to warm weather with watermelon when I don't even know that I've seen one at the grocery store recently. So
Very good.
So the other thing about pineapple, you need to puree it to death in order to get it smooth. So I do my pureed pineapple and then I put it in an ice cube tray and I put it in my freezer. And then I pop it out and put it in Ziploc baggies so that I can add it to whatever I need. Because if you don't puree it to death, you're going to get those strands of the fiber in there.
Yep. And I'm not getting that.
That's because
You blended it, then we blended it.
cheers,
So we're done.
blend it again.
All right.
That's all we have for you today.
I think we're out of time.
So next week, Stephanie has a conference to go to, so she will not be joining us. You're going to be stuck with just me. I think we're going to
You won't be
talk.
stuck. She's got good stuff.
I think we're going to talk about anemia and foods that help you manage anemia. So I haven't figured out what we're going to cook yet. And it might not be that we're cooking. I just may be giving you some options. I'm seeing hearts there. So this is good. Somebody likes this.
Or they're glad I won't be here.
Well, I'll miss you.
That was me.
Sorry, the puppies got excited. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're so glad that you're here. We didn't have any questions.
No. None.
So I hope we answered all your questions. So next week I'll be talking to you about anemia. If you have an idea for what you want me to make, shoot me. You can put a comment here. You can put a comment on the Facebook page or in the nutrition group that we do, nutrition and swallowing support group that we have. You can send me a DM. You can send us an email at dysphagiaduo.com, or you can send us a text message, 574-475-7285. Also, I had a request either last week or the week before for notifications before we go live. I got that set up. I put it in our Facebook group. If you're interested in this information, put a comment in the comment section on this video that says notify. Keyword notify if you want to be notified, and then I'll send you the link to fill out the little form so that you can sign up for text message notifications. They come about 30 minutes before we go live. So you ask, we delivered. We'll help you. We're here to support you. We want you to invite us on your dysphagia journey.
Have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye
We'll see you
now.
later.
There were 11 people on, according to the front, and